Stewart A. Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moya Swerdlow.
And this is the Expansions News Podcast for the third week in March 2015.
It's spring.
It's already spring, and although we're supposed to get snow again on Monday.
Unless you're in the southern hemisphere.
Yes, actually in the southern hemisphere it's autumn. Although in the southern hemisphere, their seasons are all the same all the time, except for Antarctica.
Well, it still always snows in Antarctica. Or they have snow.
True. We've been in Antarctica in the summer and it was snowing there.
Well, in their summer, which is January,
right.
Yes.
Correct. So anyway, winter just wants to hang on for a little bit longer.
All right.
And that's okay because then there's no pollen or bugs to bug me. And anyway, it's been a very interesting news week. Well, actually, a little bit boring, but only one significant thing.
Well, it depends on who you are, whether it's boring
Yeah,
or not.
yeah,
What
yeah.
happens to you is not so boring.
Of course, we all know about the so-called terrorist attack in Tunisia, which killed a lot of tourists from cruise ships in Tunis. I think that is designed to allow for more changes in North Africa because they said Tunisia was the only country where the so-called Arab Spring actually resulted in something good. So, of course, the results in good, they have to change that.
So they had to do that maybe as a ritual before spring.
Yes, and they killed all those people, terrible, And the other thing that happened just yesterday was the attack at the New Orleans, Louisiana airport. Did you
I didn't read about it, but I heard about it.
Yeah, and that is where this person, whose last name was White.
That's a code.
A code.
A programming code.
And he got to the TSA security area where he sprayed one of the agents with wasp spray in the face, then went through the scanner and attacked a TSA woman with a machete. And then he was finally subdued by a police officer who shot him 3 times. And then they said he's unresponsive. So I don't know if that means he's dead. They didn't actually say he's dead, but they said he's unresponsive. But sometimes you tell me I'm unresponsive, but I'm not dead.
That's
exactly.
kind of personal.
Yeah. And so, I didn't maybe mean the same way you. Yeah, whatever. But here's the significant thing. It was wasp spray.
Right.
Why would you attack someone with wasp spray and a machete? Well, as you know, those of you who are familiar with my Kuiper Belt information, I said that when they finally do arrive, the initial wave will be these insect-like beings who are like wasps.
We want to know something else that's interesting in case you hadn't thought about it. White people are called wasps.
And he was white.
Right.
Brilliant! You are just brilliant.
Well, it's just so obvious. I don't see how you cannot see that.
I didn't.
It's a good thing I'm here.
It's a good thing you are, yes. And so I think there's a symbolism there. I think perhaps the Illuminati are starting to condition people to be against what is in the Kuiper Belt, which is also significant. It means they know it's coming.
Of course they do.
And the other thing that's been very sad to see on the news is all these mothers killing their own children. One mother beheaded her 5-month-old child. Another mother stabbed her 6- and 7-year-old children to death and then stabbed her 5-month-old baby. Another family, just the other day, 7 other 8 children died in the fire, and on like this.
Now, but like we've talked about before, first of all, children represent new ideas. So that is, of course, the death of new ideas. The other thing is with programming, how do they know programming is successful? One, they're showing all these graphic images on the news media, and then people are monkey see, monkey do. They are doing it, what they're seeing, and they're doing it, they're killing their own. So once they have it where you're actually doing it to your own, that's when they know they have you in the palm of their hands.
You know what? And children, as you know, in Illuminati ritual are used as sacrifice.
Absolutely.
Because of the high, intense energy. So it's very sad to see that happen.
Oh, it's terrible. And I also wanted, as long as you're on that topic, I just wanted to mention, did you hear what the actor Sean Penn said?
I kind of did hear that.
Yeah, he said that he watches the ISIS beheading videos out of a, quote, moral responsibility because, quote, we don't see enough real violence. It's like, yeah, real, right.
That's the most moronic thing I've ever heard.
Absolutely.
You
And
know, see, why would we want to see real violence or
Right.
any violence?
exactly. But the point is, now we have a public icon basically telling people to watch, because the more they watch, the more it's imprinted, which means the more they're going to be willing to kill their own.
I think it's sick.
It's very sick.
Very sick.
It's all a part of the programming process, mass
Absolutely.
programming process at this point. But anyway, I didn't mean to interrupt, but it was all
Well, you
part
did
of it.
interrupt,
Yeah.
and now it's out of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Are you done?
Then I'll interrupt you when I remember.
Okay, I'm sure you will. Did you hear what Obama had to say about voting?
Oh, he wants to make it mandatory.
He wants to, he's suggesting, he's floating the idea of mandatory voting in the U.S. He said, well, actually, he was asked a question about the corrosive influence of money in U.S. elections, which he then turned around.
Well, you ought to know about that one.
He turned around by saying the U.S. should make it easier for people to vote, not harder. And he said, now see, this I didn't know. In Australia, he says citizens have no choice but to
Yeah,
vote.
there's a lot of countries like that.
I didn't realize
Oh,
that.
yeah, mandatory.
Yes, he said at least 24 countries have mandatory voting of some form,
Right.
including Belgium, Brazil, and Argentina.
Yeah, but the difference is that those countries, like in the U.S., it's always on a Tuesday in November.
Right.
And people have work, they have school, da. Most of these countries, it's on a Sunday. And I believe some of them actually allow you to vote online.
Oh, you might be able to do that here from, I know you can
I don't
vote by
know.
mail if you live far away, because when I used to live way out in the country, we could vote by mail. Anyway, it said that apparently in these countries, if they don't vote, they can even go to prison.
Yeah,
And
that's freedom.
yeah, then he says he thought it would be fun, in quotes, fun, for the U.S. to consider amending the Constitution to change the role that money plays in the electoral system. Now, he has suggested, of course, remember, he's at the mercy of his global handlers, how many times during his administration that we amend the Constitution?
Well, first of all, the
Over and over.
Constitution doesn't exist anymore because he removed it.
How so?
Well, he's changed everything.
But he hasn't
He's
formally
become
amended
like a
it.
dictator.
Yes, but he
and
has not.
overridden all the other things that people have told him they didn't
But he
want.
wants to formally amend it. And once they start doing that formally, then we really know it's the beginning of the end.
Well, the thing is, isn't that easy for him to say? He's leaving office. He can't be reelected. So yeah, let's take the money away from everybody.
No, let's make it
That's a good
mandatory.
idea.
So we'll see
Brilliant.
we'll see if he leaves office or not. Did you hear about the icy volcanoes that are speculated to be
Wow.
on Ceres?
That goes under the heading of cover story.
For what?
For that, those are not ice. There's no such thing as an ice volcano.
How about a vapor spewing icy
And
volcano?
even if it was, why would it create lights? The brilliant lights to shine off of it that look artificial.
Okay, they say that apparently that these photos, which are coming back from NASA's Dawn, and that's a telling name right there. They said that they will not be able to take closer photos of the area until mid-April. So what do we got going on in April?
April is, of course, tax
And
for U.S.
Easter.
And Easter is early April.
What about Passover? Is that in there?
That I don't know when that is. I think that's also like
And that,
second,
usually it's
first weekend.
around Easter time somewhere. So we have some religious holidays coming up as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've been off Earth. Now we're going to go in Earth. And did you know where the deepest hole on Earth is?
Yes, I do.
Where?
My head.
Outside of your head.
It's in Russia.
Yes, in the Kola Peninsula. Apparently, it claims that scientists drilled it on and off for,
Like 20 years or something, right?
yeah, about 25 years. It goes down as far as 7.5
Or
miles.
12 kilometers.
Yep, deeper than the deepest ocean, or at least what they've explored. And then they claim that there was a blistering heat of 356 degrees Fahrenheit, which stopped them. Do you believe that?
No.
Okay. So anyway, I just thought you might find that interesting because, again, we're talking about off-world, in-world. And again, they're directing your attention in-world and to places where people aren't going to go as a normal.
And it's also in that peninsula where all those holes opened up
Oh,
mysteriously.
that's right.
It's the same place.
Yeah, so there's
it
a
seems to be
reason.
a holy
It
place.
seems to be, and there's a reason why they're exploring there. And how about, did you hear about the praying mantises and robots?
It's not praying manti.
Not according to this article. Apparently, that there are the praying mantises, when they jump, they have 3 rotating body parts.
Like me.
So their scientists are studying that from Cambridge and Bristol universities to understand how to build a better robot and give them stability. Now, what's interesting about this is, again, back to the Kuiper Belt. It's another way. Praying mantises were seen in the news over and over and over considerably. And to me, if they're linking the praying mantis, which is, a bug with a robot.
It's an insect, actually.
Okay, so what they're doing, however, is, what did I talk about robots last time? I mentioned how that humans really are a golem.
Really? I'm reading the book
Yes.
about that.
And how that a robot is a human's golem.
Really?
Yes.
That's true.
Yes. And so anyway, I talked about this in my Animal Mind webinar, which you missed, and it was very good. So I suggest if you haven't watched that webinar, that you watch it. So anyway, I thought that was interesting. And then here we have a New York Police Department police officer who was sifting through 10 tons of 9/11 debris when he claims he saw a ghost trying to help him
I heard about
while searching for clues. He claims that the ghost was holding a tray of sandwiches and would always stand about 50 yards away and then vanish.
What kind of sandwiches were they?
Apparently, he's saying it was a ghost of an African-American woman who was dressed in white. To me now, we're having more color codes here. An African-American woman dressed in white, remember you just saw the white thing, as a Red Cross worker from the Second World War.
What was she doing there?
No, passing out sandwiches.
To who?
We don't know.
I thought dead people don't eat.
The interesting thing is that, and we've kind of been talking about this, that there are more and more legitimate observers who would be considered legitimate who are seeing
Ghosts.
those who supposedly have passed on. And of course that has to tie into astral ritual.
And New World religion.
That is being planned. And following on the heels of that story then, there was a 10-year-old son of Baptist parents who claimed that he was the reincarnation of an actor who worked with Mae West, and gave about 55 different details of his
That
life.
people didn't know and was not on the internet.
That's right. So they had to actually do quite a bit of research to verify it. And of course, coming into a Southern Baptist family, who, as the
Well,
mother
you know
said,
about that.
as the mother said, they didn't learn those kind of things.
Right.
So again, there's more and more of this information coming out all the time about what goes on in between lives and what goes on after life. So they're blending the outer world with the inner world. The astral is is advancing into earth life. And eventually it's going to become regular. I mean, people are just going to assume these things exist. So they're changing the tide of public opinion. So I found that story interesting.
Yeah.
And then another one, have you heard of waist training?
Waste, like poop?
No, like around your middle waist. Where is your mind?
I don't have it these days.
Okay, Kim Kardashian tweeted,
Well, say no more.
yes, and her tweet said, organizing and clean, or maybe it was Instagram, I can't tell the difference.
Whatever.
Organizing and cleaning up before bed and waist training at the same time.
What, so her butt looks bigger?
So it says she's a notorious waist trainer and has promoted the unsafe practice on her Instagram account and socials a number of times.
What's unsafe?
Waist training.
Well, why is it unsafe?
Do you know what it is?
No.
Well, that's the thing. Is I hadn't even heard of this until I came across this story. Apparently, it says waist training is a trend that has been picking up, and that's putting a corset on a woman and tying it really tight.
But that's all they've been doing for hundreds of years.
Well, they quit doing that. Women wore girdles, like my grandmother wore a girdle, but then they quit doing that because they wanted their waist to be very small.
Yeah.
They were surgically removing their last rib.
Right,
And again, what kind of doctors are doing that kind of thing?
Someone wants this money for anything.
Right. So now they're talking about waist training again, which again, I didn't know they were talking about that. But so you put this thing on and you make it really tight so that your waist gets really tiny.
Yeah, but then you take it off and it pops out again.
Well, apparently if you do it long enough, then your body grows that way.
Really?
And that's the point of it. And so they said, well, now what happens to your insides? And again, it's
Well,
like,
yeah.
duh,
Squishes.
Yeah. So I thought
internal bleeding there.
you're going to have a lot of issues with that, and you won't be able to poop.
I think Kim Kardashian has been doing that to her head.
Well, I think a lot of people are, but then they want to know what people think of that, in this article. My point being is these are stupid things, don't do them, right? So,
If you have a question, just ask me and I'll tell
we'll tell you what's stupid and what's not.
Really?
Okay, here's another thing that's been going around. This is my last story.
Uh-huh.
But you and I have talked about this on and off, but it seems to be gaining speed. And this is ibogaine.
Oh, I know about that.
It's a naturally occurring psychoactive substance found in plants. And apparently, it has dissociative properties, and it's banned in some countries, but it's being used to treat addiction to methadone, heroin, ethanol, cocaine, methamphetamines, anabolic steroids, and other drugs, as well as to treat depression and post-traumatic stress syndrome. And they're claiming that it was used for medicinal and ritual purposes within African spiritual traditions of the Bwiti, I guess B-W-I-T-I, Bwiti, who claimed to have learned it from pygmy peoples. And look at this one, it was used by the CIA in the 1950s.
Well, I'm sure they did.
Yes. Now, this reminds me of the ayahuasca craze, who they said the shamans of the Amazonian jungles used. And now we've got the ibogaine that the shamans of the African, the Bwiti people, from Africa who learned it from pygmy people. So it's like, don't do these things.
Okay, that's why they became pygmies.
No, they learned it from the pygmies.
Well, I think they got that way.
But the point being is there are a lot of people making a lot of money on these kind of things, and people are going on these trips, literally and figuratively speaking, thinking either they're going to cure their addiction or it's going to be a big spiritual experience for them. So they take you from one drug to another drug to another drug, and that should be
I know someone who took that and did not do well.
No. And we hear about this quite a bit, actually, that it throws them out of their body, it throws them out of their mind.
But they're not the same after.
No, and they even talk on this ibogaine thing that you're going to be vomiting, you're going to be nauseous.
That sounds attractive.
That's exactly what the ayahuasca thing was about. So I don't know if ayahuasca is as popular, but obviously they have a new one just in case ayahuasca falls out of favor.
Well, you know what I think we should do?
What?
They should come here, all you people, and I'll give you stewbagaine.
Yeah.
Or stewwaska.
How about if we just make them some tomato soup or something?
The one you made was so good.
It was delicious.
It was so good.
And the ones you missed were amazing.
Oh, of course, you didn't save any for me.
Yeah, if you come here and we'll help you. In fact, this spring, we have a seminar right here in St. Joseph, which is a lot cheaper than ibogaine, that you can come here. It's called Addicted to Addictions.
And
Get
you won't
hooked on
throw up or
Elvis.
get headaches.
No. So we can teach you how to get rid of your addictions, whatever they are, whether it's a physical addiction, a mental addiction, an emotional addiction, a physical addiction. There are all kinds of addictions going on out there we're going to talk about. You do not have to go to some foreign country and pay billions of dollars to get sick and make you sick.
Well, if there are overseas people coming here, would be a foreign country.
Well, they can come here. But I mean, to these other places, like I said, these things are just money pits, and they're also programming pits. So please be aware of what you're doing. I mean, it's just they make it sound so attractive, but it is not.
It's not pretty.
It's a very terrible thing. So it just, like I said, I have no words for it other than come to our conference in April.
Which is just next month.
And if it's not you, if it's a loved one, come to our conference. We'll help you deal with it because you change yourself, you change the reflection of the people around you. Okay?
Okay, so you want to tell them about?
All of our activities. We have a lot of upcoming activities. I'm just about ready to post the new webinar series. So watch for that to come up any day.
That'll be in May and June?
It will be April, May, June.
Okay.
So right around the corner. We have those coming up. Those are always very entertaining and interesting and learning. Then we have
The Free Your Mind conference
in Bucks County,
Pennsylvania, where I will be April 11th.
Yes, and if you get your ticket online and use the code expansions, you get $20 off your ticket.
And then, of course, we have our seminar at the end of April
Here in St. Joseph, that you won't want to miss, especially if you have any kind of addictions. We'll help you, and like I said, it's a lot better than this other stuff that they've got going on.
And then the radionics seminar.
In August.
Do we have a date for that?
We're close, so that should be announced any day.
Middle of August, approximately.
Yeah. And then we have
Our conference in
our
October.
conference, which is Hidden Histories and Mysteries.
That one I'm excited about.
Digging Deeper, yes. And that will be with Dr. Samir Osmanagic, explorer and discoverer of the Bosnian pyramids. And of course, in conjunction with this, we're going to be taking a tour to Bosnia in summer of 2016. So you want to hear him come and talk. He's amazing. Along with Mary Sutherland from Burlington, Wisconsin will be at this one. And she is a paranormal author and researcher. And she's also going to be bringing people with us to Bosnia. So we have a lot of...
Bosnia's going to get crowded.
It might. Bosnia is a fantastic place. And
Plus, a lot of my European friends said they will come.
yeah, it's our spiritual and healing tour in Bosnia. Bosnia is an amazing country. And what else? Oh, well, then you're going back to Europe, it looks like, after that conference.
Apparently, I already have a conference set up in Berlin and Poznan, Poland, and possibly Athens.
Yeah. So that's going to probably be in October
I don't
2015,
know how I'm going to do all that.
right after our conference.
Yeah.
So we have lots of things going on. We have lots of research projects going on that just never ending. Our work is never ending.
No.
And so we always have lots of new and interesting things to present to you. So you'll want to be sure and join the membership side of our site where we discuss things that we don't discuss anywhere else. And you also want to please like our Facebook pages. That's very important to help raise us up in the Google standing so those who are looking for us can find us.
Correct.
Anything else?
Well, there are, but I think we'll keep it secret until April.
All right, sounds good. We always have lots of secrets to reveal.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, we'll see you soon.
All right, bye for now.
Bye-bye.